5 seconds gone. So hey, this is Joe, and this is my breaking in my new computer stream. I'm going to stream a little bit before tonight's Fastlane wrestling event, and you know, that's what we're going to do. So I'm actually sending out a tweet right now. Okay, so you've got a tweet out there. I actually have the chat up, and I'm monitoring the stream so that I know that everything's working right. And we're gonna play some NES Pro Wrestling this evening, and just for no particular reason. Just I got my NES blew a capacitor. Believe it or not, so the one and only Lord Voltar was able to replace that, diagnose it, figure out what was wrong, and replace it for me. And so now I'm able to play my NES again, so I'm into that, and that's a big part of the reason. And you know, it's getting to be WrestleMania time. Tonight is the last stop on the road to WrestleMania, so it'll be a good chance to, you know. And I have a brand new computer that I just got, so it's all coming together. So Twitch will only do 720, so this is a 1080p output, but you're getting the 720 out there in TV land. But you know, way better than my old rig for sure. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not dropping any frames, and only using 12% of my CPU power to do this with the other window open. So you know, it's going pretty well. Pretty into that. Which actually means I might start streaming more often than just Wednesdays. Probably not. I'm not trying to, you know, like enter the streaming game in any significant way or anything, but I need to get a webcam. You can't see me right now because I was so used to having a webcam. A winner is you. I was so used to having a webcam. Built into my laptop that I sort of spaced out on thinking about getting one for the new rig. So Eric is kindly going to send me his old one, actually, and then I'll have a webcam again. I'm going to be able to see my pretty face when I stream. Oh, what a reversal of that devastating brainbuster. Oh. Usually I'm talking and not thinking about what I'm playing, so I usually try to, oh, devastating pile driver. Usually try to actually end matches with finishing moves in this game, but I absence to use the somersault kick. Oh, nobody home for that suicide dive. No water in the pool, as it were. So this game is not the greatest wrestling game in history, but it's serviceable for sure. There are much worse wrestling games out there than this, put it that way. No water in the pool on that one. But a 2 count only. Oof. Not doing myself any favors with all these high-risk maneuvers. Okay. There you go. Listen to the roar of that crowd. Oop. Oh, back to the outside of the ring. Oh no! Oh, hoisted on my own petard. Get up, Starman. Get up. You know, there's another reason that I'm playing this. Subconscious reason that I hadn't thought of. But, Nintendo finally announced the new Smash... Finally. It's been like 2 years, 3 years since the last one. But they announced the new Smash Brothers this week. And every time they announce a new Smash Brothers, I'm like, they gotta get Starman in there. And every time, they don't. But, Starman rules, so they should put him in the new Smash Brothers. That's all I'm saying. Man, this game's got some catchy music, too. Oh, big splash from the top. Finds its mark. Double knees. Find their mark right in the gut. Still can't keep the big Mongolian? He's Mongolian, I think. King Corncrunch. Can't keep the big Mongolian down. Oh! Oh, and the pile driver does end Starman. So yeah, what a pity. The problem with this game is that it relies on button mashing. You can sort of cheat your way to victory with the turbo controller, or you can sort of kick guys in the face over and over again. Like, what I'm doing now is sort of the key to victory in this game, if you want to just win. Which is part of the problem. It's a really good looking game for like a, you know, an extremely early NES game. The fact they put the cameraman and the referee are present, you know, this is really a great looking game for such an early NES title. I guess in Japan it was, you know, 86, so 3 years after the Famicom launched. And actually this is a Famicom Disk System game in Japan. You know, but now that I've softened him up by repeatedly kicking him in the face, I can try some other holds and throws. Oh no. I don't remember what Starman's whole move suite is. Yeah, there's the back suplex. There's that somersault kick. It's the finishing hold. Is it enough to keep down? No, it's not. Not enough. Not enough. A splash from the top. Goes for a pin. 1, 2. Oh, and a kick out. Toss to the outside. I've mentioned this before in videos that I've made, but in case anybody is unaware, this game was actually, this project was headed by Masato Masuda, who would go on to be the man behind Fire Pro Wrestling. And that really, if you play the early Fire Pro games, the ones on the TurboGrafx or the PC Engine, you can really tell that that it's the same team, the same person. The animations are really similar, especially like the Amazon's like fork attack looks. I mean, it's just it's crazy how similar that looks to, you know, the sort of the original Sheik, I think it was, analog in the original Fire Pro. And, you know, the Brainbuster animation. I'll actually show you that one. Nope, nope. That one, the animation in the first Fire Pro is just like it's super close. And I think I'm gonna try to stream some more wrestling games before WrestleMania. So, you know, we might see a bit of that one. Oh, what a collision! Because the funny thing about, you know, sort of the original Fire Pro is that, like, there's not really any reason to play it these days. Somersault kick followed by a big splash. Is that enough to keep the vicious Amazon down? It is not. Oh no! You know, with Fire Pro games, you know, there's very little reason to play older installments, and in fact, I think for part of this stream, I'm going to do some Fire Pro World, just to kind of show it off. You know, but there's very little reason to go to older Fire Pro games. A couple of them have some unique sort of single-player modes, you know, but other than that, yeah, there's not really a great reason, because most of them, the single player is just like beat everybody until everybody's been beaten, kind of thing. And, you know, there's not a great deal of need to do that when the gameplay and the number of moves has been increased, you know, so greatly at this point. But there are a couple that it's worth going back to, and it's interesting to look at the first one, Fire Pro Wrestling Combination Tag, which is interesting to look at just to see, you know, how much the series has changed from its humble beginnings as a PC Engine game, and a series that never, you know, didn't come to the US until, you know, what was it? 2001 with the Game Boy Advance version, which of course when it came out here was only titled Fire Pro Wrestling because we didn't have any other Fire Pros before that. The closest we sort of got was HAL Wrestling on the Game Boy, because even though it was published by HAL Laboratories, it was actually not developed by you know, Satoru Iwata's crew there. It was developed by Human. So that is sort of the closest we got to a Fire Pro game. Interesting that the first two attempts at Fire Pro really in the States were portable. If you watched last week's Genesis or Genesis Isn't, I had Eric play Jesse the Body Ventura's Wrestling Superstars, which would have been a Fire Pro game. It was based on Thunder Pro Wrestling Retsuden for the Genesis, Mega Drive, I should say. And, you know, that would have been the US's entry to Fire Pro, but that game never actually made it out, so... Devastating somersault kick. And that's all she wrote, folks. Rewind Mike says, I did not know you streamed on Twitch. I do stream on Twitch. There's a whole bunch of Twitch stream archives on my YouTube channel. If you've missed them, we do a weekly streaming show called Genesis or Genesis Isn't, where I show my friend Eric, who never owned a Sega Genesis, a bunch of Genesis games, make him play them. King Corn Karn is not going to get the better of me this time. Ah. So yeah, we stream every Wednesday at 9:30. We do Genesis or Genesis Isn't, and then we do a sort of normal-ish stream at 10 Eastern Time. So now you know. And as I said at the top of the stream, part of this stream is testing out my new rig. I had a 7-year-old laptop that finally got put out to pasture yesterday. And really, it's still with me in spirit, because I took both the hard drives out of it and put them in the new one. In fact, I'm waiting for hard drive enclosures to show up tomorrow from Amazon so that I can properly mount those hard drives. One is in a USB enclosure, you know, and the other one is just sort of sitting in the case. It is actually connected by the SATA cable in the case, but it's just sort of sitting in there, and, you know, obviously we want to get that a little more secure in there, so I've got a couple of adapters for 2.5-inch hard drives I can use to improve. Real and Mike says RIP laptop with a sad face. Yeah, you know, it was time. And it was a mistake to buy a laptop in the first place, if I'm being completely honest. That was not the best idea that I ever had. So, you know, I'm better off with a desktop now. And so this is a i7 Coffee-like processor with a NVIDIA 1070 graphics card is what we're running on now. So obviously, you know, still I've been streaming for 16 minutes, no CPU problems, 60 frames per second, haven't dropped a single frame. And you know, again, you might say, well, you're only running an NES game, but I do have the Kevtris Kevtris high def NES mod in my NES, so this is coming into my capture card at 1080p. Twitch will only do 720p, so it's coming to you fine people in 720. But you know, I'm asking the machine to do a bit here. So. Real Mike says, yeah, laptops are like a stove, but for your electronics. Yeah, that was the big problem, right? That thing, when I played Overwatch, even at, like, not very high spec, it would get up around, like, 90 degrees Celsius. Which is, you know, not, like, a thing that most people recommend that you do. Uh-oh. Suicide dive. Oh, no, what a headbutt. What a maneuver. Yeah, so this one has, like, I don't know, I opened it up to put in those other hard drives last night before I even booted it the first time, and it's like, there's like, I don't know, four or five fans in there, so this one should stay a bit cooler. Right into the ring post. We posted him. Will he stay out? Will he be counted out? If he is counted out, I still win the title, which is, of course, not in line with the rules of professional wrestling. Doesn't anybody care about the rules of professional wrestling anymore? And I say anymore, and I actually mean, like, didn't anybody care about the rules of professional wrestling in 1986? So, 32 years ago. Then I was ranked number 1. How come I didn't win the title? Oh, because King Slender's the champion. That's why I have to fight through every... This is bogus. I already beat this guy. This is nonsense. It's the thrilling world of winning a match in pro wrestling. If you get to the hidden final boss, Great Puma, he does not fall for this. I don't believe, if memory serves. You can't just, like, walk back and forth and kick him in the face. He will move out of the way. But... And it's, like, impossible to grapple him, really, at any point, unless you have a turbo controller. Ruin Mike says pixels are pretty through that mod. Yeah, so there's a lot of options. I can actually show that off a little bit here. So, you have resolution options. You know, again, I'm at 1080 here. And then, oops, I just reset the timer. Oh, and I paused it. Okay. So you can... I have it at 4x5, which is not quite 4x... you know, or sorry, 5x4, which is not quite 4x3. But it's close enough, and you get actual square pixels without any shimmer effect. So that's how I do it. There's a bunch of really awful filtering options. Do X-ray. And these are all sort of like weird eagle filters. You can't really see them because this menu blocks the game, but it looks bad. SCANLINES, just, I mean, I've mentioned this on other stuff. It's not, I don't like SCANLINES, so. Rewind Mike says, how much did it cost you in the end to have all that done to the NES? So technically this is not an NES. This is an AV Famicom, which is the equivalent of the top loader NES. And the reason that I went with that, so initially I acquired the top-loading NES just to play Famicom, just to play Famicom games. I'd made myself an adapter out of a copy of Gyromite, which is like not the greatest way to do that, and it served me okay, but like extra audio stuff, like if you play Castlevania 3 or Akumajo Densetsu through an adapter in a regular NES, the sound is really weird and not right. So I just picked up this AV Famicom. I got it off eBay. I think I paid $40 or $50 for the system, which is reasonable. Then the board for this was I got it from, whatever it is, Game Mod USA or Mod USA, which is where I think Kevtris, that's like the only supplier I think you can get them from. Mod Tech USA or something like that. I don't remember the name of the site, but it's a well-known site where you can buy the components and stuff. So I bought the board from there, and it was a little over $100. And then Voltar did the install for me, and that was a little over $100 if I remember correctly. So all in, like, I'm close to $300 on this, but that's maybe more than an AVS. But by the time by the time the AVS came out, I already had the Famicom, so I was already sunk a little bit into it, and definitely cheaper than an analog NT, the original NT. And even cheaper than the NT Mini. The NT Mini has those cores where it can turn into a bunch of different systems with the jailbreak, which, that's pretty dope. This obviously can't do that, but there is an EverDrive in it right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I would say I'm somewhere in the $250 to $300 range all in, including purchasing the system itself, which really is not that bad. And with the EverDrive, I can play anything. Even Famicom Disk System games will play on the EverDrive, and the sound will be correct as near as I can tell, because it's going through a Famicom instead of trying to do it through an NES where the sound doesn't come out right. So, yeah, I don't know, $250 to $300, but over a lot of time, because even like I bought the system, and then like a year later I bought the board, and then Voltar didn't charge me until he did the work, and he was kind of backed up, so then it was like another month or two between paying just to get the board and have it shipped. And he shipped the board right to Voltar, which was nice. It saved me on postage. So, and then I guess plus postage to get it there and back, to Kentucky, which is where I'm in Virginia and Voltar's in Kentucky. So, there was a cost to that too, but it's all bundled. That's all bundled into the prices I'm quoting. So yeah, I'd have to look it up, but between $250 and $300. Palette is kind of dope. I use this one, which is, I believe Firebrand X, who is responsible for all the sort of preset things for the FrameMeister, which I also use those. So I think this is the one I generally stick with, but like, there's a bunch of different options on this game. It's probably not going to make that much of a difference. The PlayChoice 10 one is actually kind of weird, so let's check that out. Let's just do a little bit of that. Now, see, look at that. That is way different. And that's because of the boards the PlayChoice 10 used, I guess, from what I'm told. So, let's see. Raymond Mike says, that's pretty cool, though. I'd love to play more FDS games. Yeah, the Famicom Disk System is interesting. I don't actually have one. I keep meaning to buy one. For a long time, I wanted one of those hybrid units. That's the Sharp Twin Famicom. But I've sort of since decided, obviously, that, you know, I'm not going to mod another system. And those are sort of notoriously finicky, so... How dare you, sir? How dare you kick out of that? Set him up with a flying cross chop. And we'll give him another back suplex. And the somersault kick, and this time we'll follow it up with a double knee. Oh, he rolls out of the way. This man is running on pure instinct. They might have clashed heads on that. This could be all. That's all she wrote.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
It's going alright. I was just, still wrestling. Let's see here. Rewind Mike says, the yellow on that is way different. Yeah, the yellow on this is way different. In fact, I actually kind of don't like this color palette, so I'm going to change it.
What's this?
This is the Play Choice 10 color palette that I switched it to. So I'm going to switch it to the Firebrand X's NTSC and just see how that looks.
What are you messing with? Or
This is
like
the
different color palette.
They're different for the HD mod. Comes with a bunch of color palettes preloaded. See, this one looks a little more washed out, but I think it actually looks more like what my Nintendo, what I remember my Nintendo looking like on my TV. It's sort of what this look here. Let's see here. Squidbrand says, does this have roots as a licensed All Japan game? Oh yeah, that's Ethan, right?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that he was.
I got a Steam invite from
Squidbrand,
somebody, and I saw that, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's who that is.
That is who that is. It does not actually. He says, "What up?" So yes, that's Ethan. This does not have roots as a licensed All Japan game. Natsume Championship Wrestling on the Super NES was in Japan a licensed All Japan game, but this one was made by Nintendo from the ground up. But you know, King Slender, who I'm facing now, is obviously Ric Flair. The Amazon is semi-obviously like Abdullah the Butcher or Bruiser Brody, you know, type of character, and they're all pretty obvious. The fighter Hayabusa is obviously Inoki, blah blah blah, which actually would make it more of a New Japan game than an All Japan game. But no, it was not licensed. It was always. Ruin Mike asks if I ever played Hammerlock Wrestling. I do. That was a Japanese game that was based on Genichiro Tenryu's Wrestle and Romance promotion and was localized as just Hammerlock Wrestling here in the US.
I think I played some. Remember when we did that like 9-hour long podcast where we talked about like every wrestling game ever made? I think I played like 15 minutes of that before we did that.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember it very well. It was like a Jalico thing, right?
Yeah, that was Jalico.
Or Jalico joint.
Whatever. I don't remember.
There was like a small screen on the bottom where we do like Tecmo Super Bowl style cutscenes when we did moves sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm actually going to change this color palette again because I'm not in love with this one either. Let's see. Let's try Beware's color palette. Let's see how it is. Wow, that is. See, these are so different, and I guess part of the reason is that it's not, since the NES was sort of like an analog output, the color palette is not, it's not like a straight digital value. Like, it has to do with like the voltage that was passing through the system, which is why it looked kind of different in some cases. Like, I remember people saying like, oh, like the colors on the Mega Man Legacy Collection are wrong. Frank Cifaldi and his team got them wrong, and it's like, well, they're not wrong because depends on what color palette and what your TV looked like, you know. So.
Also, I mean, like, people set their TVs to different hue, like, you know, like old TVs. It had like, some of them had like hue and saturation knobs and stuff that you could change.
Yeah, that's right.
And so sometimes they literally looked different because the TV settings were different.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, get out of here, Flair. I mean, King Slender. He was definitely not Ric Flair for copyright purposes. Hammerlock is a weird. There's actually another All Japan game that I'm going to talk about in an upcoming video called All Japan Pro Wrestling Fight Depon, and it's a board game, card game, wrestling game for the Super Famicom, and it's like so bizarre. It's actually totally great. Just for how weird it is. And all the like chibi, there's like all the characters are super chibi looking, so there's like chibi Patriot and chibi Giant Baba and chibi Mitsuhara Misawa, and like it's totally ridiculous. So there's a lot of weird wrestling games out there for sure. I think Rewind Mike's earlier comment about Mike Tendo having one of those was referring to the Sharp Twin Famicom. Yeah, I think those are pretty dope. The thing that's annoying about them is you can buy a Famicom and a Famicom disk system for cheaper, like as two pieces, than you would pay for a Sharp Twin Famicom. So, you know, in that respect, it's kind of ridiculous. There's that big. After I win the title here, I'm gonna switch games. I think I'm gonna try seeing how this bad beast does footage directly for. Oh, what a devastating backbreaker! From my PC.
I'm sure it'll be pretty good because it's basically the same processor I have, except it has more cores and one's a little slower.
Yeah. Oh, with only 26 seconds on the clock, Starman captures the VWA championship. I'm not going to go through defending it. You can defend the title and, you know, do all that good stuff and
was that
face
the last
hidden
pick
boss.
when we did our NES draft?
It was one. I don't think it was Kurt's last
last
pick.
round, maybe.
It was in the last round, I think. I'm gonna change the. Actually, I didn't save any of these. Just so if anybody's curious, let's try this PVM. This actually. That's a little washed out too. I don't know. I like the default one, honestly, out of all the color palettes. The FCEUX, which I think is a Firebrand. These two NTSC and PVM are Firebrand X, but I think that's also a Firebrand X, so I'll just keep it there. Anyways, I'm going to switch stuff over, but I'm going to keep talking for a minute while I do that. So
okay, I'm going to go throw some rice in a pan. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Let's see here. Ruin Mike says they're probably easier to repair than the FDS units. I think it's about the same from what I understand. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. I feel like I need to find like a stupid GIF or something to like put in here while I'm like, you know, changing games and stuff. So I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find this stupid GIF. This is a classic if you've been watching our stream for a long time. Gotta love that GIF. While I switch over to a game on my computer, which is going to be right now. We're going to give this a shot with Fire Pro Wrestling World. I'm going to do a match of that, and we might do some Overwatch. Oops. Might do some Overwatch before we cut out for the night. At 8 o'clock, we're gonna split. I'm gonna split to go watch some wrestling, which is why I'm playing all these wrestling games, like I said earlier. But you know, I'll hang out for a while. Plug my trusty PS4 controller in here. Switch that here. Put this over here. Let's see. FCEUX is an emulator I used to use. Oh, maybe that's where the color palette came from an emulator. That would make sense, actually. Okay, let's see here. So, get rid of the video capture device. I'll go ahead and get Steam loaded up here. Thanks for everybody who's hanging out tonight. Ethan and Rewind Mike, and I think maybe it's just Eric and I are the other couple people watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks to you too. I know that that's makes it a lot easier, you know, being on YouTube. When the stuff's on YouTube, you can sort of get a good sense of, you know, when you make time yourself. I guess you can you know, watch at your leisure. So. Play some Fire Pro Wrestling World. That's what we're gonna do. Which I'd wanted to for our year-end thing, you know, want to do. Ethan wants to know if my computer's an 8700 and 8700K. It's just an 8700. Alright, so that might be really loud. Let me know if that's really loud. Get rid of our raccoon. Oop, that's not what I meant to do. I wanted to fit that to the screen. Volume mixer. You can turn this down in my ears. Because even if you guys aren't hearing that really loud, it's really loud to me.
What's that?
The Fire Pro Wrestling World audio. I was saying, I don't know if that's like blowing out everybody's eardrums.
Yeah, it's not that loud, but it was definitely drowning out. Yeah.
Well, I turned it way down on my computer, so that should fix it.
Let's see. Rewind Mike says FCEUX is an emulator I used to use.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That
I think that might be.
Squidbrand says, does your new computer have an 87 or 87K?
Yeah, and
it's an 8700 because Joe said he probably wasn't going to overclock, so.
Yeah, I'm not planning on overclocking.
Although at some point, I know that they have like broken that and like people have figured out how to overclock those slightly anyway, so. But honestly, given how slow that stuff has been progressing over the last 5 or 6 years, it's hard to imagine you needing more power for a while anyway.
Yeah. Especially
with 6 cores. Hopefully games get better at using multiple cores instead of needing high clock speeds.
Yeah, that'd be...
Rewind Mike says a little loud and the image is stretched.
Yeah, I think I fixed both of those
things.
Fix
that. Okay. Have you downloaded a ton of dudes for this?
I've downloaded a ton of dudes for this.
Okay. I don't know if you were keeping up with chat either. What I was
doing
or
not. I was doing my best. Oh, there's Eddie.
I don't know about that Kevin Nash.
All right. Let's do this. Are we laboring here? Here we go. I'm sorry?
Like I said, can you hear the guinea pigs?
I cannot hear your guinea pigs, no. I haven't done the music stuff. There is apparently, you can put music, you can like, if you have MP3s of their actual entrance music, you can do that.
Yeah.
In this game, that's something I haven't done. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight at Slim Jim's Halloween Havoc.
Oh boy. Does it have the guy? I missed the thing. Is the dude hanging up the entrance?
It's not by the entrance. You can't. There's no way currently to edit the entryway at all. You can just edit the ring stuff. So, but if you look, you can see that the canvas and the ring posts are correct.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty good.
So, I forgot to actually make myself one of these. So this is just the computer going at it. So I guess let's just see how they do. a lot of people are into this game in that way. Like, they like to just have the computer, go at it. I usually like to actually play, but I forgot to change. You have to manually change it so that you're the one playing. So
I think Giant Bomb did a stream where they did a tournament. People had made all different versions of them, and they did a Royal Rumble with all of them in it or something, and just streamed the guys fighting each other.
Yeah. Rio and Mike says, I didn't know you use Steam, LOL. Yeah, no, I've got about 200 games on Steam, which is less than most of my friends. Eric, what's your Steam library look like these days?
I probably have about triple that.
There you go.
587 currently, but I have a shitload of codes on Humble Bundle that I have.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't cash in that one for Resident Evil 5, but you and I should play through Resident Evil 5 again.
Yeah, we could do that.
And then he says, "Fuck, man, I'm so used to retro games and only playing retro games. I play a lot of vintage games, but I always try to keep up on new stuff too. I just played through Raiden 5 yesterday afternoon before my computer got here. I was like checking the FedEx website, like refreshing it repeatedly, but I played through Raiden 5 on PS4.
I gotta go turn my race down here.
All right. And I mean, when we this thing that we do a couple weeks ago, we did our best of 2017 show, so I played a lot of my top games for last year were Mario Odyssey, Resident Evil 7, and Breath of the Wild. So, in fact, I was thinking about playing some Cuphead on stream tonight, but I figured I'd stick with the wrestling theme. So that's where we're at. We're on Mike. I have 425. Yeah, see, I don't usually, if a game is available, especially up until yesterday, my laptop was starting to have real problems running modern games. So anything that was modern, I bought on console, not on PC. So, I have most of my games are on PS4 or whatever other modern console, not on Steam. So now that I have a new computer, my Steam library might get a lot bigger. I don't know. We'll see.
You should at least get Cuphead.
I already did.
Oh, did you? Okay.
It's like first order of business after everything got set up was buy Cuphead. I haven't played it yet, but I bought it right away.
Yeah. How's the monitor?
The monitor's great. Monitor? Yeah, the monitor's great. Really happy with it. Overwatch is victim to some pretty nasty screen tearing, though. I played like one round last night, and screen tearing all over the place when you play it at high. I'm running it. I had GeForce Experience sort of optimize it for me, which I might tweak that stuff myself. But it seems to be capped at 70 frames per second, which looks pretty good. But like I said, the screen tear is a lot.
Even at that frame rate?
Yeah. On which level is it? It's a recent-ish. It's not one of the original stages. Where the big circle in the middle is the capture point with the little. Like there's walls around it, and then there's a little hut in the middle.
Yeah,
is the control point. Yeah. That was the map I was playing on, and it was tearing pretty badly in some spots. And I was like, I feel like I shouldn't have to put VSync on with this rig, but maybe I do. I don't know.
Well, if it's not, I mean, VSync is kind of a separate thing.
Oh, is that? I thought that was to prevent screen tearing. I think that's what it was.
Well, I mean, that depends on the game, but like it just like caps it matches the frame rate of the game to the refresh rate of the monitor.
Gotcha. Mike says turn off VSync to kill screen tearing, so that's already off. So, Ethan says, what type of monitor? This is a FreeSync. AOC FreeSync 144 hertz. It's a 20 something.
Not relevant to your computer, but
right, yeah, because I don't have
the FreeSync version was on sale for like $60 off. So.
Yeah, it was like $200, and part of the struggle, honestly, was
yours is like a super low refresh rate, 144.
144 is super low refresh rate. But
sorry, it's a super low lag, high.
Super low lag, yeah. It's part of it was I wanted a small monitor too, and like they're all like 30 some inches. Yeah. This one is 23 or 24, I think. 24 inches, which is even maybe a little bigger than I wanted, but it looks great. This game looks fantastic. or as fantastic as, you know, a game that has like sort of intentionally like 32-bit style sprites in it can look.
Yeah, mine is a Dell IPS panel that was like the first sort of like mid-range IPS one that I bought for like photography stuff.
Oh,
And
sure.
it looks really nice, but it had like the lag is a little bit higher than I would like. So I'm just kind of waiting to see how there's so much weird technology in monitors right now with the G-Sync and the FreeSync and the high refresh rates and the HDR and all that stuff. I'm kind of waiting for all that to shake out before I buy a monitor, since I don't really need one. But
I mean, it can only look so good, right?
mm-hmm.
Let's see. Rewind Mike says 144 is about what everyone's after right now.
Yeah.
Ethan says high lag 60 hertz only for me. Kenny Riot is here and says, "Oh snap, it's Joey Pink on commentary." Well, let me tell you something, brother. It's about that time for Joey Pink to make some annual reappearances. I love that the people in the audience in this have signs that just say "It's cool."
That's some like early '90s brawler signage.
Right.
Is anybody holding up a dunk sign?
Not that I've seen yet. Someone's got one that says "Pump Up." Also, if there are any like wrestling fans in the well, I know Ethan's a wrestling fan. This game is like, it's coming out on PS4 with some official New Japan like licensed characters and stuff, like Kenny Omega and not Ibushi. No, maybe Ibushi and like you know, whatever. A bunch of New Japan guys, Bullet Club members and stuff are going to be in it. So maybe wait for the PS4 version, I guess, if you're super into that. But you know. Let's see. Kenny Riot says, "Who's the dude in purple?" That's Rey Mysterio Jr. Yeah, Rey Mysterio Jr. So that was pretty good. If my memory serves, Eddie Guerrero's not supposed to win that match, but you know, whatever. Whatever works. Yeah, so there are a couple of venues, but you can't edit them. So like, the entryway is going to look the same way it looks no matter what. Let's see here. So I'm going to change the ring. And I'm just going to play a quick match here before the pay-per-view gets started. I don't know if anything was on the pre-show. If there was, we didn't see it.
There probably was, but...
No, we can catch it later. Watch it on YouTube later.
I'm sure it was
the
very important. Honestly, sometimes the best match of the night was on the pre-show, so...
Sometimes. But yeah, man, there's just a ton of characters on Steam Workshop, and it's really just as easy as clicking on them, you know, to get them brought in. Oh, Dr. Tracksuit. I forgot about that. I forgot that I downloaded a Dr. Tracksuit.
Who was the WCW luchador that had horns on his mask?
Psychosis.
Yes, sir.
It's often incorrectly pronounced psychosis.
By the people in WCW often.
Yes. Let's see. I'm gonna do a Misawa. I'm gonna do a dream match, brother. We're gonna do Misawa versus CM Punk. And I'm gonna play
Kenny
as
Riot
Misawa.
says we need a monthly birthday apocalypse Royal Rumble. Joe knows what that means.
Yeah, Kenny does some pretty great birthday shout-outs on Facebook. That's a lot of work, dude, but I would encourage you, Kenny, to do that. That would be pretty fantastic.
I just watched the Pipe Bomb promo earlier today.
The very first one where he sits on the stage?
Yes, and shouts at, well, John Cena's laying in the ring.
Hopefully as uncomfortable as humanly possible. I remember watching that when it happened and just being like I definitely knew it was it's obviously a work, right? Like, I mean, but just being like they let him say all that shit.
The fact that he shouts out John Laurinaitis instead of one of the actual behind the scenes guys is like a dead giveaway that it's not I mean, it's kind of a shoot, but it's also definitely like they knew it was coming, because he shouted out the on-screen guy instead of one of the behind the scenes dudes.
Yeah.
Although he was like a
Ethan
talent
says that Ray
evaluator.
Ray said psychosis on a recent podcast, which is weird, but all right. WCW also said Ultimate Dragon instead of Ultimo Dragon. So, Rio and Mike says he was thinking Laparca. No, Laparca was the chairman of WCW.
Yeah.
Also,
he's the one that's like a skeleton man.
Yeah, he's a skeleton man. Can't fuck with Laparca. Laparca's great. I will brook no opinions to the contrary. So this game still retains sort of everything about the original Fire Pro in terms of the grappling
How does
system.
it compare to Jesse Ventura's pro wrestling?
It's pretty much the same. It just looks a lot better and has way more moves and characters. But I mean, it's honestly, you know, oh, yeah, way more moves and characters, and obviously the animation is a lot better. But like, it's really pretty much the same, you know. The series has not moved in massive ways, except to add more moves, more characters, more match types and stuff. Like the Saturn one was sort of considered to be the peak for a while because it had 6-man tag matches, which you know, none of the other.
So we missed on the pre-show. We missed Ty Dillinger and Breezango against Mojo Rawley, Chad Gable, and Shelton Benjamin.
I have so many questions about why that match even like happened.
Because they got to do something.
They got to do something. Man, Ty Dillinger, that guy's been a bust on the main roster, hey?
Yeah, I kind of forgot he existed, honestly.
I still really think that they too much too fast for him, honestly.
Yeah, they just don't. There's too many guys. Even with 2 shows, there's too many guys.
3 shows if you count NXT.
Right. Well, I mean, on the main roster, there's too many people.
Ooh, look at that. Tiger Driver 95.
Earlier today, I recorded an episode of Wrestling with a Dog.
Yeah.
Where we talked about the Chainsaw Charlie, Cactus Jack versus the New Age Outlaws in the dumpster match that we covered not super long ago on What a Maneuver. I mean, it was like 2 years ago at this point, but
yeah.
But it was just like the way that they used the way that they wrote that show, where all the different people could interact with each other, and that just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, they had that one great Raw recently. You know.
Yeah.
And,
that was the one that was a super long match, right?
Yeah, it was you know, 2/3 of the show was
the only
was
Raw
one
I've
match.
watched in several years was the 25th anniversary or whatever. 25th, 30th,
25th. You said it was bad, right?
It was terrible.
Ethan said something, but I'm playing a game, so I can't see what it was.
Let's see. These days, I just consider 3 years to be the set length for a WWE career and pretend they retire if they get called up from NXT. That's fair. I mean,
some guys have done really well. Like Finn Balor's done
Owens.
really well, and yeah, Kevin Owens.
I don't know about Finn Balor.
I mean, he was the first Universal Champion.
And then never got a rematch when he came back.
Well, because he was injured. That sort of seems to be the story they're telling now, though, right? I mean, to a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, he's been back for like a year, though, right? Or not quite, just after WrestleMania last year.
Oh no, Anaconda Vice! Anaconda Vice! Yeah, I think so.
Like, Kevin Owens has done very well for himself, obviously.
I can't believe they burned the Sami Zayn turn on Raw, though. Like, I don't...
That happened already? What?
Yeah. They did it on Raw this week.
Turned on Kevin Owens, or
Yes.
vice versa?
There was a promo early in the night where he said, like, oh, I'll never... you know, I would lay down so you could win the title. I'll never betray you. And then in the main event, he hit him with a haluva kick and pinned him. And it's like, why would you do that and not do it in the... Like, you could have Zayn cost Owens the match so that AJ retains, you know, and have that take them into WrestleMania, but you didn't.
So what was the match?
I don't. It was like a weird.
Like
It was like all the people who were in the like 6-pack challenge tonight, except for Styles or something. I don't remember. It was just like a. But it's like why would you do that and not do it in the actual title match? Like that doesn't make any sense. As to why you would.
Because the people that write WWE are terrible at their job.
Yeah, I mean, basically, right? I don't know. Will that be enough? No, apparently not. Oh, Tiger Suplex. Will that be enough? Not quite.
.9.
Got him. I forgot how to taunt. How do I taunt? Oh, that's right. The analog stick. Alright, so I think I'm going to switch over to watching wrestling now instead of playing wrestling. Everybody who came and hung out tonight, I love you all. Thank you very much. Let's see if there's anything I missed. Kenny Riot wants to know when are Joey Pink and Starman going for the tag team titles. Brother, someday. And then, Rewind Mike also said, I have that 6-man scramble for the Saturn. So do I. There are 2 Fire Pro games for the Saturn. 6-man scramble is really dope. So yes, thanks everybody for turning out, hanging out. Eric and I are going to go watch wrestling now, I think, and maybe we'll... Oh, I actually dropped some frames at some point in there.
On this website where I found the thing about the pre-show match, it says I can feel years younger by boosting my stem cells at home. So I'm going to go do that,
cool.
I think, actually.
Do that. I'm going to eat some Cheez-Its and watch wrestling, and we'll talk to you, all you fine people, on Wednesday. We do our regular stream on Wednesday night. And, yeah, talk to you later. Good night, everybody.